Did you know that chickens don't know how to sweat? It can make it really dangerous for them in the summer. And so we're gonna make some frozen chicken treats and help keep them cool. How's that sound? Does that sound good, Hazel? Okay, let's do it. Come on. Okay, so it's June out in the garden and I found some broccolini, some snap peas, a few shelling peas, some kale, and strawberries. But while I was at it, I did a bunch of pruning and weeding. These are some flowering spinach tops, some nasturtium leaves, some broccoli leaves, some of the kale that didn't look so great. This is some pak choi that flowered, some arugula that flowered, right? And then we've got more greens all down in here. And at the bottom, I've got some endive and then some strawberries that were kind of half eaten by slugs and whatnot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take all of this and I'm gonna turn it into frozen chicken treats for when it gets really hot this summer. So normally that's all stuff that would go in the compost, but we're going to transform it into some chicken feed. Just gonna heat up some water and chop up and wilt the greens a little bit, and then I'll show you what's next. So I've got all of these greens and flower tops and even a few bugs, which the chickens will love. So I'm just gonna rough chop all these and then we're gonna get them in water. So some of these kind of woodier things with stems, I'm gonna put them in the water first so we can kind of soften those up. My chickens are only about 11 weeks old right now, and so I don't know how well they'll do with the really woody stems. They might not even eat them, but we're gonna just put those in the water first, and then we'll save the green tops for kind of the end just to wilt them. So over here, I've got some kind of nasty smush strawberries. I got this kind of mealy apple that I'm gonna cut up, and I'm gonna put all that in the blender and make some juice to help with these frozen treats. So with chickens, everything but the core, you don't want them to have these seeds because they have icky stuff in them. So I'm gonna throw this part away, or actually put this in my compost. So into the blender, I'm going to put some water, my fruit, and then a little bit of this chick elixir. This has potassium, calcium, oregano, vitamin E, vitamin D3, safflower oil, and vitamin E oil. Just because I'm fancy like that. I'll put that in, put in my water. Put in my fruit. Okay, and then we're gonna zhuzh that up. Let's come on over here. Okay, so this is boiling, so the rest of this is gonna go in for just a couple minutes. All of this, it's gonna wilt it, and it's also going to make it it's gonna decrease the size of it so that I can make more concentrated treats. And don't worry, I'm going to use the water anyway. So I know a lot of the nutrients will go into the water when you boil this stuff, even though I'm only gonna do it for a short time, but I'm gonna use that water to add to what I just made in the blender. And that is going to be the liquid around these. So I am using these super cubes. I got them on Amazon, and these are just some big ice cube trays that you can use for like drinks and stuff. So I am gonna take these off. So these are 2 cups each, and these ones are 1 cup each. And I've got a little bit of scratch here mixed with some of these grubblies, and I'm going to put a little bit of this in the bottom of each one. This is going to make it that much more enticing for them. Now I'm going to spoon some of the greens into each one of these. And then we're gonna pour some of this slush over it. And then we're gonna add some of the water from the greens. So just a little pro tip here, I put some ice cubes into the bottom of that, and I'm gonna put some ice cubes into here just because I don't wanna wait around for this too much to cool off, and I'm in a hurry, so I'm just gonna cool down the mixture just a little bit with some ice before I spoon it in. So I know it looked like a huge amount of greens when we started, but that's the beauty of cooking it down a little bit. It compacts it and wilts it a little bit so that you can fit more in. And this was just one pruning of a bunch of my plants in the garden. I could do this every day probably, or every other day, and get just as much garden material from it. Okay, so I am going to just pour a little bit of my sludge over each one of these. The fruity stuff doesn't have to be pretty or fancy. Just want a little bit in each one. Okay, and then I am going to compact this, kind of move this all around, and then I will fill these kind of to the top with the water from the greens. And then I'm going to show you what we do next. All right, now lastly, I'm going to take a little bit more of these grubblies, of these dried black soldier fly larvae. I'm just going to sprinkle them in the top of each one. These super cubes are fantastic because they stack on one another. They've got really sturdy lids. As you can see, I've got a couple other ones in here. These are people food, not chicken food, but let's see how they turn out. Okay, let's get these out of the freezer and see what they look like. Okay, because they are silicone trays, they pop right out. And because they are frozen treats, when it is 100 degrees here or even 90 degrees, I can put one of these in the run for the chickens, and it will be cold. It will cool them down. There's a lot of water in here, but there's also nutrients. You can kind of see the soldier fly larvae in there as well. So hopefully they will like them. Hope this was helpful. Be cool, girls.